Hi, friends. This is Dr. Arpita Gupta Dipalma, and you're listening to my podcast, From Pissed Off to Poised. This show is for busy women physicians and professionals just like you who are ready to take control of their emotions while learning how to excel in juggling all the things they are responsible for in life. It's for overextended mamas who are trying to figure out how to work smarter, not harder. It's for multitasking women who are tired of playing the role of the angry and resentful air traffic controller, who simply want to learn how to create a life that is more calm, intentional, and joyful for themselves. My goal is to help you learn how to eliminate the overwhelm and maintain your composure in high-stress situations that you face with the demands in your day-to-day life. Because I get you guys, this was totally me. You are not alone. I invite you to embark on your journey of transformation with me. Enjoy the listen. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of From Pissed Off to Poised. I am super excited today to bring on Dr. Rashmi Schramm. As you guys know, I don't bring on a lot of guests for this, but I love bringing on the people that I've learned from. And I had the pleasure of meeting Rashmi back in, I think it was 2022.
Yeah,
2022 at a Women Physicians Conference. And she gave this wonderful presentation and then experiential event where I went there for one of her lectures and she basically did this meditation and it was amazing. I think that one specifically was the Yoga Nidra meditation. And then she did a couple other sessions for that conference and I absolutely just fell in love with her and what she has to offer. So I am going to let Dr. Rashmi Schramm actually give her own intro because she knows herself best and I won't butcher it that way. But welcome, Rashmi.
Oh my gosh, Arpita, it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. So my story is, I think we have a lot of parallels, but I'm not entirely sure because we've known each other for so long. So I was actually born in India and I grew up with this gigantic sort of extended family until I was 12. And so during that period of time, really formative things were my grandmother who I lived with was sort of the OG feminist, if you will. And she practiced a lot of Ayurvedic and meditative principles, as did my other grandmother, but they didn't necessarily call them those things. I didn't understand what was one thing or the other, but they seemed very much like home. And then when we moved away, we moved to a tiny little coal mining town in Virginia. And there we start to assimilate, right? And so at that point, I really felt like I had to let go of a lot of those internal sorts of knowings and beliefs and things like that. And then we'll fast forward on to college. And at that point, that's when I sort of connected to what I felt was almost like home, I'm going to call it that word, which was this mindful community, this meditation community that I found when I was volunteering at the inpatient psych unit at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville. And I was a closet meditator for a really long time during undergrad. And then I went to medical school also at the University of Virginia, totally closet meditator, and had all these ideas and thoughts that I would seem weak if I talked about meditation or anything to do with mindfulness. It wasn't quite as hip as it is nowadays. And so this is sort of my love affair or my dance with meditation and mindfulness is sort of this through line that I'm painting for you. Mm-hmm. And throughout my life, whenever I've let it go, any of this practice, this sort of like being in the present moment practice, I have had quite a lot of suffering. And when I come back to it, I seem to have a little bit more ease. And so this pattern continued on and on and on. I had young kids after residency and becoming an attending, did not know what in the world to do with my stress, had left my meditation practice for probably at least 6 years at that time, and went back really truly to become a meditation teacher, not because I thought I'd ever teach, but because I needed it for myself and I needed a community and I wanted the deeper teachings of it. And that was a couple of decades ago, probably 18 years ago or so. Wow. And since then, I've just been sort of, again, a perpetual, in this way of like being able to teach as a student and learning constantly. So the perpetual student for me is one who's able to teach as a way to learn. And so that's how I see my practice and the way that everything has evolved. So I've been a family medicine doctor for a little over 2 decades as well. And now I left clinical medicine and I am almost, well, I would say I am 100% into this coaching realm. I teach meditation, Ayurveda. I also do group sessions and I hold in-person retreats. And it feels like a completely manifested, amazing dream that I couldn't have even come up with when I, found myself in 6th grade in Richlands, Virginia. And I'm just so thrilled about all of it.
That's so awesome. That story is crazy, amazing, good. I mean, it's just goes back to show in a sense that what you're meant to do, it's going to come back full circle and be present in your life one way or the other. So good. Richland, Virginia. I don't even know where that is. I'm in Richmond, Virginia. So it's interesting that you were here and you went to UVA and you might even know my brother and a lot of friends that we have that were in med school at UVA when we were here. But anyway, that's another story. But well, I love this. And before we get too deep into this, I want to just tell the audience that Dr. Schramm is going to do an amazing little meditation for us together, a guided meditation at the end of this. So I know we're going to go through some of the logistics and talk about why meditation is important, but I want you to stay here because that experience where you can actually bookmark this and use this for your daily practice if you're starting to learn is going to be amazing. I can't wait. So Rashmi, I want to ask you, my podcast, this one is very specific around anger and intense emotions and reactivity. And so I want maybe your insight where, I can give my perspective for how it's helped me, but as somebody who's kind of more of an expert in this area, how does meditation help individuals when it comes to managing these intense emotions like anger?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What a great question. It falls into that category of like meditation off the cushion, if you will, so to speak. Like, yes, we can meditate for, whatever, 20, 30 minutes a day, but how are we conducting our lives the other rest of the 23.5 hours of our days? And that for me, it gives us a little bit, at least for me and the folks that I work with, any kind of presencing or mindfulness or meditation practice is really the capacity to be the witness rather than be completely, I don't want to use the word devolved, but it kind of is. I just did this like a couple days ago. I was really tired. I was really hungry and a bunch of different things that I didn't want to happen kept happening. And I was like, so mad. I was so mad.
Wow.
So like, it's not like you'll never, ever be angry or have intense emotions if you meditate,
Right.
but it's that we're able to take it less seriously and we're able to not identify with those emotions when they come up and be the witness. And we do that because during meditation, we're witnessing our thoughts, we're witnessing our emotions without judging them, because a lot of times I'll actually get mad that I'm mad and that really just intensifies everything. And that's what happened earlier in the week.
Yeah.
And the idea is that we're able to then say, all right, so this is what's going on. Anger is arising, fear is arising. And then how do I want to be with it? And the real truth, and I know you talk about this a lot of times, is we don't have the capacity to deal with it at that moment. So we don't have the luxury of feeling all our feelings when we have to go into the next exam room or any other thing. Like we've all had those experiences, and that's emotional intelligence. But what we're talking about here is when there is the capacity or the luxury of being able to feel our feelings. Like if you're driving, you're alone in the car, you can ask yourself, like, what is this all about? Like, what is arising in me? Like, what is this? Instead of like shoving it under the rug for most of our lives, it's the curiosity and the witnessing that I think is really, really important. I want to add a caveat in here is meditation oftentimes can be used to not feel our feelings. Not everyone who does meditation really is consciously deciding to do that. And sometimes we'll call that spiritual bypassing. And we want to really be careful because when I first started teaching, I didn't really understand this. And I would often have, like I distinctly remember the first 2 or 3 times when like my students would say, well, like I was so mad I had to go meditate. I was so angry that I had to go meditate. I found myself having to go. Okay, that's totally fine. But this is not an escape from reality that we're talking about. This is our capacity to rest as the witnessing awareness that we are and be at ease with whatever is arising. I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, that is super important. I'm glad you touched on that because as I referred to it in earlier episodes is that, we have this tendency to buffer, to not want to feel our emotions, and we go and do something else. So this is exactly what you're referring to here, is that if we start to choose meditation as a way to avoid our reality by doing this instead, and that honestly is not going to help process through what's actually going on. It's just going to build up. So that's very important. I actually never even really thought about vocalizing it that way. I think the other thing, just the other point to bring up is how you mentioned, that the meditation helps you bring up curiosity and kind of meet yourself where you're at. What I like to think of it also as is that it's for me truly like help me kind of increase my fuse, because I would have a very short fuse. And then when you have more and more things pile up on you, that fuse gets shorter and shorter. And so it's almost like this meditative practice for me. If some mornings it's 3 minutes, some mornings it's 15 minutes, just depending on what I have. Just the fact that I've dedicated that time to myself to take care of myself and do something that refills my cup, that is help lengthening my fuse in a sense. And so it's almost a little bit of a cumulative effect, I think, where I am less reactionary because I have implemented this practice. So yeah, well, thank you. That was a great little tidbit that I didn't ever think of. But going back to meditation, I wonder, do you have like a specific style that you think is more effective with what we're talking about with regards to reactionary tendencies or having very intense emotions? Because I know there's so many different types of meditation. Is there one that you've found to be more effective with your clients with this problem?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So there are so many different valid types of meditations. And, now we've got so many different apps that are all valid. It's a huge booming business, if you will, right? Like late stage capitalism. And so the answer is almost always whatever it is that clicks with that person. And if somebody really prefers a guided meditation where someone is either talking or you're following some guidance for the entirety of the meditation, then that's the kind that you would start with, right? If somebody is okay with setting a timer for 3 minutes and following their breath without any prompts whatsoever, and that feels nourishing for that person, that's a valid meditation, right? And then another type of meditation that I teach is a mantra meditation. So mantra is a very ancient form of meditation, and mantra just means mind vehicle. And so it's a vibration that we can hold onto, and this is the kind we're going to practice. We're going to practice a mantra meditation where there is no meaning, it's just a vibration. And so in so many different ways, the mantra meditation really seems to click. That's the kind that I've done every day for almost 2 decades at this point, because it's effortless. It's this idea of giving the mind something to do while we rest and while we allow energy or prana to heal whatever needs to be healed. And so I would say try a couple of different kinds out, 3 or 4 different kinds, but don't get caught up, because the other thing that I'll see my students do is they'll pick an app and then every day they have to make a decision as to which meditation they want to try. And that's kind of how we're programmed, like newer is greater, like, oh, this is this shiny object. But really the truth is, if you liked one 2 days ago, just do that one. Just do that one, because this is not about finding something new or exciting or sexier. This is about what is it that clicks for you, that allows you to move into that space of serenity, of that inner knowingness, of that calm that's already always there. Like we don't have to create any of it. It's already always there. Mm-hmm. So that's my long-winded answer for saying whichever kind of meditation you'd like. So if it's like a yoga nidra, which is fully guided, do that. Whatever it is that you're not going to have a lot of internal resistance to doing, do that, and don't feel like you have to do a different kind of meditation every single day to see which one is great. It's not like they're, like hip hop songs, like there are endless number of really great songs. We don't need to go that route. Leave that for something else. Stick with something that feels good for you.
I love that. So good. I'm still learning from you because I catch myself in this too, right? Like I have my insight timer and I have Calm and I have the, what's his name? Chopra app. And so it's like, okay, which one do I want? And I kind of like, I feel like I need to focus on manifestation today, but you know what? That one really resonated. So it's like, it cuts out the spending 10 minutes on Netflix trying to figure out what movie you're going to watch. It cuts this out. Like what just feels good for you right then. And that's okay, whatever it is. So thank you. That's also a very helpful nugget. So, guys, you are in for a treat. I'm going to let Dr. Schramm lead us on a meditation today, a mantra meditation, like she was indicating. And then after we are done with this, we'll kind of regroup with her and get some input on that.
So if you're driving, this might be a place where you stop. And if you're in a place where you're able to meditate with us, let's do that. And
Thanks for clarifying that, by the way. I appreciate that. Don't be driving and meditating because that would really suck.
I have to say that a lot on my podcast because I do some meditations there. So don't close your eyes if you're driving, okay? So when you're in that place, welcome. If you're able to, have a seat in whatever comfortable position. If you need to lay down, do that too. I'm going to go ahead and close my eyes. And if that feels comfortable for you, going ahead and closing the eyes and see if you can have kind of a tall, dignified posture of seated rather than feeling very like slouchy or feeling like you need to be at attention, just a tall, dignified position. If that's possible for you, feel free to, of course, have any amount of back support you need. So from this place, just giving yourself permission to just be here for the next few minutes. We know there's a lot to do. The to-do list is quite long. And giving yourself permission to just be right here. From this place, just meeting us here, let's go ahead and take 3 deep cleansing breaths. And so that's an inhale through the nose and then an exhale with a big sigh through the mouth. So 2 more of those inhales through the nose at your own pace, and then exhaling with a sigh out the mouth. And then just noticing if it's possible to relax the jaw just a bit. We hold a lot of our tension there. Is it possible that the shoulders can fall away from the ears just a bit? We also hold a lot of our tension there. And then, just out of curiosity, noticing if it's possible to remove all expression from the face. Just staying curious with it. And now let's put our attention on the breath, that breath that's always with us. Such a powerful tool. It's with us from the moment of birth till our last moment in this body. Just noticing the breath. Not trying to alter it in any way, just noticing it. And then just noticing the points with which your body might be meeting either the chair or the ground. Just a soft body scan, just noticing that. Then returning back to the breath. And I want you to just silently repeat after me the following statements. I am, and then I want you to silently repeat your first name and your last name. So I would say, I am Rashmi Schramm. Say that a couple of times, softly to yourself. And now let's drop the last name. And I want you to silently say to yourself, I am, and then just your first name. And now dropping the name altogether. And just silently repeating, I am. I am. Just picking up the mantra version of I am, which is so hum. Just beginning to softly and effortlessly think the word so on your inhale, thinking the vibration hum on the exhale, going at your own pace. So on the inhale, hum on the exhale. So hum. And just continue to silently repeat. So hum. And I'll mind the time. Your mind wanders. You've done nothing wrong. Just gently returning back to so hum, effortlessly without forcing. Now, still keeping your eyes closed, releasing the mantra, so hum, and just resting here, resting and being. And now taking a few deeper breaths. And if it feels okay for you, just bringing your palms together, pressing them together at the center of your chest, at the level of your heart, just grounding yourself there. And bring in a deep sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the many blessings in our lives. Gratitude for giving yourself permission for this practice. Gratitude for the breath. And now taking a few deeper breaths. And I'll invite you to bring your palms together in what's known as Anjali Mudra, our prayer position, if only if that feels safe for you. Bowing head to heart, bowing to all the teachers in our lives, the teachers of our past, the teachers that we have today, and all the teachers yet to come. And you can gently open your eyes.
So good. That's all I have to say is so, so good. Every single time. And I will add, I think it definitely has to do with, for me, I love your meditations because your voice, it just resonates. So it goes to what you spoke about, like finding something that works for you and sticking with it. It's different for every person. I just want to do a podcast episode with you every day in my afternoon. So that way I could listen to your voice and you can help me meditate. That would be lovely.
You're on.
But yeah, I loved it. Thank you so much for doing that for our audience. And I hope it resonated with them. And, even if you couldn't get in the zone, I do want to touch on this because I think I hear more and more people, especially people who are not familiar with meditation, say that, I can't meditate because my brain is just all over the place and I'm like, I can't focus on not thinking. And I'll let you explain that because I think you've explained it before very well with regards to what the whole point is, what the purpose is when you are meditating. So you don't kind of knock it off your list before even understanding that.
So all of those benefits that we talked about as far as bringing more ease and calm and, not just, we didn't even get into the physiological parts of this. That's now we've got thousands of published studies on increasing the amounts of DHEA, decreasing cortisol, increasing serotonin, dopamine, all of those things. Those come regardless of any kind of experience that you have within meditation. So meditation, by definition, is the formal practice of mindfulness. And mindfulness is the awareness that arises when we're paying attention to this present moment without judgment and with curiosity. And so you can imagine that judging our own meditation practice would be literally the opposite of what that practice is there for, but we still do it all the time. And if you find yourself judging, I want to offer you and I want to invite you to think about that there are 4 valid experiences during every meditation, right? So one is you can be thinking thoughts. That's an experience that we've all had in meditation. You can fall asleep. That is a valid experience during a meditation. You can be following the guidance or following the mantra. That is another experience during meditation. Or you can be in that sense of bliss or pure calm and serenity, right? And so that 4th calm bliss is called turiya or witnessing the self or witnessing, it's a witnessing space and it feels like bliss, right? And so we automatically become very attached to this idea that I can only have experience number 4. And that's the only way that I can say that I had a good meditation. And being able to say, if I sat down with my timer with a guided meditation and I had, 800 thoughts in the span of 10 minutes, but I came back to the guidance, I came back to my breath, whatever it is, it's the idea of beginning again inside of a meditation practice that's going to build up that mindfulness muscle. It's not pursuit of bliss. It's the idea of it's a practice. It is a practice. And so some days we're going to slip into it. Some days we're going to fight like hell. And it doesn't matter which one, because the results from the body mind are still astounding and amazing.
Love it. Thank you for explaining that. Yeah. So it's so very true. Like, when just noticing when you've drifted off, like for me, I think in the beginning, not even understanding that, I shouldn't be having thoughts. I'm supposed to be focusing and not having those thoughts that are riddling my brain. It's just that practice is noticing when you've fallen into the thoughts and then just bringing yourself back to the breath or the mantra or whatever with kindness and gentleness and ease, not making it wrong or that you're not succeeding or whatever the hell we do as, trying to be the best at what we're doing. That's not the point here. So yeah, well, this has been lovely, Rashmi. I am so excited. I've told you, I can't wait to see you in person again at the next thing that our paths might cross. But I know we've talked a little bit about you doing another retreat that I'm going to do my damnedest to get to. But I want you to tell our audience a little bit more about maybe what you offer, where they can learn more about you and what your programs are and any other resources that you think might be beneficial for them.
Yeah, I've got a podcast called Inner Peace and Power. We do have lots of guided meditations on there that are free. Come on over, do any of those that you'd like. There's a metta meditation that I just did a couple weeks ago that people tended to enjoy. I also host in-person retreats, like you mentioned, Arpita. And so I'm working on getting my 2025 schedule in line. And I'd love to, have anybody who has interest in that. And I host these really deep kind of somatic types of healing spaces. And so come on over if that sounds like something that feels safe and good.
What's your website? Where can they find you?
So my website is easy. It's just my name. It's just rashmischramm.com.
Perfect. And she's got 2 M's in her last name, and we'll have it all in the show notes too. So it's easy for you guys to click on and get to. But Any final words? Anything else you want to offer or say to them?
No, I'm just grateful to be here. I think, you guys are in the right place. You're listening to Arpita, her wisdom, and she's been at this for a really long time. And I learn something from her every single time we have a conversation. You're going to be on your podcast episode is coming out soon. And
Yeah.
so wherever it is that you are, just meet yourself there. And if you feel interested or drawn to meditation, like we already talked about, just practice it at a place and a pace that feels good for you rather than putting metrics on it. This is not a metric related practice. So just kind of remember that. In a world of metrics, take it out. And then this is also in a world of striving. This is a non-striving way of being. So those are the two kind of main things that I want people to take away from.
No metrics and no striving. I love that. It's so counterintuitive for physicians, and this is perfect.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yes. Well, I am grateful for you. I'm grateful that the universe made our paths cross. So you're in my life. And I thank you for everything that you do and you give to the world. So
thank you so much. It's been so great.
Love it. Well, thanks. And we will be offering, obviously, this episode for you guys. You can go back and play it over and over and over and listen and use that meditation. And obviously go visit her website and her podcast to get more variety of other things that you might be interested in. So thanks again, Rashmi. Nice to have you.
Thanks, Arpita.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of From Pissed Off to Poised. Remember, transformation is a journey, not a destination. So enjoy the ride. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review From Pissed Off to Poised on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback supports my mission to get this podcast out to help other women physicians and professionals like you on their path to creating a more peaceful life with more intention and more joy. I enjoy reading every message I get with your input and feedback on my journey, so keep them coming. And if you have a friend who might enjoy the listen, please share this episode and share with them. Lastly, if you want to learn more about my coaching programs and course offerings, check out my website at www.thoughtworkmd.com. Feel free to reach out to me to learn more about investing in yourself through one-to-one coaching so you can start living the life you've always wanted. This show is for general educational and entertainment purposes only. Life coaching is not a substitute for therapy or medical treatment.